Hey there. Welcome to a very special episode of Cosplay Cafe. And I don't mean like after school special. No. Tonight we're serving up a hot steaming cup of cosplay. uh, we're serving up a hot steaming cup of cosplay costography. Yeah, that's a mouthful. So, before that, enjoy our theme song. I'm too sexy for my cosplay. I'm too sexy for my cosplay. On Cosplay Cafe. Yeah, I'm a cosplayer. You know what I mean. And I do my little turn on the con floor. Yeah, on the con floor. Oh, on the con floor. Yeah, I do my little turn on the con floor. And I'm too sexy for my cosplay. I'm too sexy for my cosplay. On Cosplay Cafe. And I'm too sexy for this song. Pokeballs by Crayle is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on CrayleVanest.com. That's CrayleVanest.com. And possibly coming to a con near you. All right, so tonight I am joined by my Phoenix sister, my other half, my hetero life mate, Crayle Vanest.
Hi. Yeah, I recently had to explain again. I ran into someone else who has the same problem that Kelly and I have, where he works a lot of conventions together. It's my friend Timothy who works for Earth Dog Studios. And he his business partner who goes from convention to convention. He's also been like, yeah, meet my partner. And people are like, oh, like, are you married? Are you just dating? How long have you been together? And he's like, it's my business partner. So
It
yeah.
happens. Hetero life mate. Hetero life mate. We're both married to men, y'all. Different men.
No, we're both married to both of the same men, actually. It's a harem, a himum. We called it the himum.
Your husband does cook for me every time I visit, and it is amazing food.
Your husband cooks for me every time I visit, so it's fair.
It works. It works.
Yeah. So
people watching are like, how do they define marriage? What's wrong with these two? So many things. We don't have time.
No, we don't have time. Partially because we have a guest to bring on here in a second. We're doing cosplay photography this week. And so I want to introduce you all to Ryan of RM Photography. He and I have met over and over again in the like general Indianapolis convention circuit, usually while I'm working. So one of the times I was super flattered, one of the times that he saw me working a Pokeballs by Crayle booth, where I usually, if I'm doing a costume, it's super simple. Like it's an ash hat. That's it, you know? Because I move a lot of inventory around and stuff. And he was like, hey, I feel like I know you. Haven't I seen your Emma Frost photos around before? I was like, yes.
Senpai noticed.
Senpai noticed me. So let's bring in Ryan and we're going to get to know him.
Sounds good.
We both hit the button at the same time.
You do it. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you joining us for our first cosplay photography, if I can say it, episode. We're really glad to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so first things first, how did you get into cosplay photography?
I don't really know. I just kind of fell into it. I was up in Lafayette, where I lived originally, and I was taking some pictures, and I was just trying to get my business off the ground. And a cosplayer contacted me and asked me if I'd do some pictures for him. And I had the most fun I've ever had in a photo session doing cosplay stuff. So I just said, well, you know what? Let's just run with that.
Nice.
I
How
mean,
long
the
ago was that?
cosplay version of anything is always more fun than the non-cosplay version. So
Definitely.
my
Here.
my wedding photographer, Lacey Clegg, also was like, I do weddings and I'm happy to be part of people's like special day or whatever, but I'm so glad you're also a cosplayer because that means we get to take fun photos at the end and like, you know, edit special effects into them and stuff. So
Yeah, I like
She's
doing
good.
cosplay weddings because they're interesting and they're always different.
Otherwise, if you've been to one wedding, you've been to them all, it feels like.
Yeah, except for cosplay ones.
The cosplay ones are the best. Like, ugh, I'm mad that I wasn't a cosplayer when I got married. So I missed that chance. But I did get to have a fake cosplay wedding. So we did Green Arrow and Black Canary's wedding in a
Nice.
photo shoot, and it was epic.
it
It was
was a
not
huge
with my
production.
husband.
People,
It was with my cosplay husband, and we like recreated not just the wedding, but yeah. Sorry, Crayle, I didn't mean to talk over you.
oh, that's okay. It was a huge production. People were like talking about they're like I'm almost as nervous as if I was in like a friend of mine's real wedding. Like the bridesmaids, we had two different people re-walk Kelly down the aisle so that different characters could be giving Black Canary away. And we did like the me helping Kelly get ready shots of like the maid of honor helping the bride like put her veil on and stuff. Like
Our friend Emily actually cried while I walked down the aisle. Because she's like, this is the closest I'll ever get to Kelly's wedding. I was already married at that point. And then we had the knockdown drag out fight, recreated that. And you know that people love you when you're like, okay, I love your costumes. Will you lay on the ground and play dead for me? And they do it. I have the best friend.
Yeah, cosplay. You definitely have some interesting poses that people end up doing, and you have some interesting requests too. You know, I had a guy. I was just taking hallway shots, and his girlfriend was dressed as Lopunny from Pokemon. And he goes, "Make sure you get her tail in there. She worked really hard on making the tail fluffy." And I'm like, "Okay." So it was one of those things. It's like one of those things. It's like you have the two extremes with the boyfriends, where it's either they're like, "Don't look at my girlfriend," or, "Oh, by the way, this is my girlfriend. Take a picture of her."
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Lopunny is like a giant like stands
Bunny.
on two leg bunny woman, and so the tail that's like right there. At least I hope she posed herself because you don't want to be just taking hallway shots and be like, okay, well turn around and show me your butt. Like
no, she posed herself. I didn't do that. I was just like, okay, that's kind of an interesting request. Let's run with it. So she kind of posed like looking over her shoulder a little bit, and it was cute.
Yeah. Do you have any other interesting poses or like things that have been like where it's like somebody wants to be like laying on the ground, but they don't want to get their costume dirty or whatever? Because like people don't want to tear up their costumes, but also like cosplay photography, you want the action shots. So
I worked with a cosplayer named Dotword. She doesn't cosplay anymore, which is really a shame because they were amazing. But the first time we met, they were doing a gender crossplay. I don't know what it's actually called, but they were like, "Oh, I want to do this laying down on this bench," and I'm like, "Okay," but their costume had big gears over the shoulders. I'm like, "You're not going to be able to lay down on the bench," and they're like, "Yes, I am," and I'm like, "Okay," and they were like propped up on the bench with the gears, and it's like, that doesn't look right. Let's not do that because it was just it just looked awkward. So it was kind of fun. But I mean, I do cosplay photography everywhere, so I've had a lot of weird experiences.
I mean, you can tell us about any of them that you'd like. I mean, as long as the cosplayers don't mind, or if you don't.
I have a cosplayer that I keep running into that I don't remember her first name. I know her by her Instagram handle only, and it started out as a kind of weird little coincidence that we'd run into each other at every con we went to in Indianapolis. And now it's become kind of like a tradition where it's like, hey, it's not a con unless I see you. And it's, there we are.
Aww.
So it's just kind of fun. But,
I love.
I've shot Scarlet Witch, my friend Sayandiri on Facebook and Instagram. Her Scarlet Witch is really awesome. We did some at the Irvington Street Festival 2 years ago where I had her jump in the air and put her hands down so she looked like she was taking off Scarlet Witch, like Scarlet Witch does. Mm-hmm. That picture turned out really good, but it's really dark, so it's hard to kind of see. But I don't know. Sorry, I talk too much.
No, you're here. You're here to tell us.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. So
you're doing good. So do you have a specific genre that you prefer to shoot in?
I really like anything where I can play with the lighting. Like superheroes where you can like backlight them. Scarlet Witch where I can light her hands and make it look like she's taking off. Stuff like that. Where anything where I can play with the lighting or depth of field, I really love. So like you'll see a lot of my pictures have like people's hands outstretched towards the camera or their weapon pointed at the camera, because that's kind of my style, is the depth of field. Mm-hmm. Which that's for those of you who don't know means like, creating that 3D environment in the 2D picture.
That makes sense. And what's one of your favorite tools in your toolbox?
Probably the new flash I got. I got a Godox flash that has magnetic attachments for it. So it has like a magnetic diffuser, magnetic shutter lights, or barn shutters. It's got a magnetic suction cup that I can put it up against a window so it'll actually go through the window.
That's cool.
Yeah, it cost me like $200, but it's the coolest little flash I've ever had in my life. And it runs on a rechargeable battery. So I'm very happy about that. I don't have to buy batteries anymore.
Yeah.
That is worth the $200 alone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rechargeable battery. And it's got like different modes and stuff that I can set up too. So I've also got a battery powered LED panel light that I take with me to cons. And it's RGB, so I can change the light colors and I can change the effects on it. So I can set it to look like cops are coming or it's thundering and lightning or whatever.
We just got one of those really cool to play with. Yeah. Remember, Crayle, we were playing with one of those, like a mini one.
Yeah. I don't know if ours is as nice, but yeah, we did some, we had one that for our Savage Lands Rogue and Emma Frost where we did purple light behind us. Mm-hmm. And like, since purple is one of those like evil coded colors, sometimes the all white of my costume soaked up a bunch of the purple and it just looked like it looked really good.
I did one with, I don't remember her Instagram, but I did one with 3 of them. They were dressed as the bunny killer from Death by Daylight, Bill, mm-hmm. and Freddy Krueger. And we just took the red light behind them and backlit them and silhouetted them. Mm-hmm. And that was a really fun shoot because it was really technically challenging to get the lights just right so that it didn't show mm-hmm. them, but it just showed their silhouette. So that was fun.
That does
we
sound
did that.
Fun.
We did that in the government parking garage across from the convention center.
Oh, nice.
We went down to the basement where it was completely pitch black.
Oh, parking garages are like the best, but also I can imagine would be very challenging when you're looking at the lighting standpoint.
Oh, we found a nice dark corner where the lights were burned out. So we just kind of went over there and did it.
That's nice. Yeah. Well, I was wondering, so sometimes Kelly and I end up having to be each other's own photographers and things mm-hmm. like that. And we don't have a lot of like fancy, nice like equipment or whatever. I was wondering if you could tell any other cosplayers who need to photograph each other sometimes some basics that are either really cheap things to buy that make a big difference, or some basic techniques that if all you've got is your cell phone, like what's the most important way to make sure you're still going to get a good cosplay photo?
So one of the best things I would invest in is, I hate to say it, but a cheap digital camera. Because you're always going to get more control out of a cheap digital camera than you are out of a cell phone camera. Unless you set it on pro mode, and then they're just kind of a pain. But, a cheap digital camera and some photography lessons will go a long way. Because you'll learn how to use the depth of field. You learn how to use the aperture. You'll learn how to set the lighting. EV values so that you can either darken the photo or lighten the photo depending on what you want to do. Other than that, the biggest thing I can say is don't look straight at the camera. Don't front the camera. I had an instructor at Purdue who every time I took a picture like that, he would hit me over the head with a rolled up paper and say, "That is a mugshot." So I can't do that anymore. Anytime anyone sees straight onto the camera, I'm like, you got to turn sideways. I physically can't do this anymore.
It literally got beaten out of you.
Yes. He was a great instructor though. He was an older version of me. That was just him playfully being, reminding me to not take straight on pictures anymore. Because I was really bad about that.
Sometimes the teachers who are not afraid to like make meanish jokes with you and stuff like that are the ones who stay with you the most. I once had an art teacher where we did have like a playful banter back and forth tell me, "That was a really great painting until you put paint on it, Crayle."
I had him walk up directly behind me right after I opened a photo. Like hadn't even touched the photo editing yet. And he looks at me and goes, "I see magenta in that photo." And I'm like, "Of course you do. I just opened it." And he's like, "I know, but I still see magenta." And then he walked away and I'm like, "I hate you so much."
Yeah. All right. We have James Leal in the comments who, when he first came in, said sploots on the ground. And then
Hi, James.
Also said that the term you were looking for earlier was probably gender bend when you were talking about the cosplay where somebody gender bent it.
Yeah. It wasn't really gender bent because they had a chest plate on to make them look male.
Oh, that is a crossplay, which is what you said here. So yeah,
okay.
No, you had the word.
Okay. I don't always know that I have the word, so.
Well, and the terms are evolving, so.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time keeping up with it.
Same. But you know what? That's the word as of recently. You're good.
Yeah.
You're trying.
Trying.
So what questions would you suggest that cosplayers ask a photographer when setting up a photo shoot?
Well, definitely the first one is how many images do I get? Because some photographers will give you everything with the price. Some of them, like me, I give you 5 free images and then you have the option to purchase more. And some of them don't give you anything. Some of them are like, you paid for the shoot, now you're gonna pay for your photos. I feel like the 5 free is a nice fair trade because you get the free photos, and then if you want to purchase the rest of them, they're there to purchase. And it's not expensive. It's like $50 or $60 for the whole rest of them. Another one is can I see more? Don't just be happy seeing what they have on their site. Ask them if you can see more. Because a lot of times we'll put our best work out there. We won't put, the average stuff or anything subpar out there. So we'll just put like the best 5 shots out there. And then if you ask, can I see more? If they take forever to respond to it, but if they're like, oh yeah, hey, hang on, give me a second. And then they pull up a link and give you a link. Don't worry about it too much. But like I said, if they like say, oh yeah, I'll get it to you in like 5 days or something like that, that means they're calling it again. They're looking for the best photos that they have again. They're not going to give you accurate photos of what they do. They're just going to give you like the highlight reel. And I'm not afraid to give out anything. I've given some of my cosplayers some really terrible photos before because I thought they were funny.
Which is funny shots are worth it too, I think. And sometimes those in the moment shots, it's real life. It's real. It doesn't always have to be perfect.
Oh, and one other thing to ask is, can I bring somebody else? Don't ever go alone if you don't feel comfortable with the photographer.
That's a huge one. I've heard so many horror stories lately. And the photographers who say no to that's a red flag. Like
that should be an instant block, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. You should also really take a second person with you, even if you're in a place where you feel safe and your photographer, because having an extra set of hands as a cosplayer can really make the difference in how flustered you get while you're trying to pose something, or wait, where do I set this down? Where do I having a person to gopher for you a little bit and like hold on to things for you or stuff like that is going to make you usually a lot calmer and less flustered in between shots so that you can just focus on what face am I making? Like, am I getting the shot that I want? Like, you can just really work with your photographer to make sure you're getting what you want without having to worry about, did I leave my water bottle behind, and all those other little things. Like, have a handler. It's better for safety, and it's also just, you're going to get better photos if you're less stressed.
Yep. And sometimes I put the handler to work and say, here, hold the reflector.
Exactly.
If my second person can't show up, it's like, here, hold the reflector. I need a little more light.
Aziz light.
Yes. That is a good movie. I love that movie.
I also love that movie. We watched it again recently.
I think I watched it like a month ago.
We have more people joining us in the comments. Carl Witzman says hello. And either Jado or Jado Rose, if you want to correct me in the comments, you can, says good evening and hello, good evening.
A new person, fresh blood.
Fresh blood. David says super green.
Are there any others
to say something, Ryan?
I was going to say something. I lost my train of thought. It exploded. Millions dead. News footage at 11.
Are there any other safety tips you would like to give for cosplayers or photo shoots in general?
Yeah, I mean, the big one is don't go alone. The second one is if something doesn't feel right, get out of there. I mean, I try my hardest to put my cosplayers at ease and my models at ease and my families at ease and my wedding people at ease. But if you walk up to a photographer and something just feels off, I don't care if you've paid the full amount up front or not. Get out of there. Don't stick around. Don't put yourself in dangerous positions. If they say, hey, let's go down this dark alley and it's just the two of you, don't do it. I've only done that once and it was like 4 of us going down the alley. So, but we got a really cool picture.
Alleys make for really great pictures, but you have to feel safe when you're doing it, and you have to be in a safe area.
Right. We were in downtown Indy, right off the circle.
Different. Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it's a big thing of cosplay is not consent. Sorry, I misspoke there. Cosplay is not consent. If you don't like it, if you don't feel safe, say no. If you don't want your picture taken, say no. You know, you don't have to do everything. Just don't. And if they pressure you, get somebody else. Like I always tell the cosplayers that I work with, if they are being hassled by somebody at the con, they can come find me and I will gladly be the boyfriend, the husband, the dad, the brother, whatever. And all they got to do is say, hey, honey, hey, brother, something like that. And I'll be like, oh, hey, there's somebody bothering you. And I'll just walk away with you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Yep. We also second that. If you see either of us at a con and you're feeling unsafe, run up to us. We'll be your safe person.
We will.
I may be small, but I will fight someone for you, or I'll try.
I'll
probably get my bigger friends, but
we had a guy at a PopCon or Comic-Con 2 years ago that me and Eleni May on Instagram actually got bounced from the convention center for life. He was walking around with his camera and he was taking pictures of girls upskirt and stuff while they were bending over. And
these are the worst.
I went and got help. He went into this is how dense the guy was. He went into the bathroom, changed shirts, and tried to walk right past me. I'm like, do you really think changing shirts is going to let me, confuse me? I'm like, I'm standing right outside the stall, dude. I know you're in there. You're the only one in there. So we reported him. They took him. They arrested him. He's bounced from the convention center for life. And it was like, that was like the weirdest, surreal thing I've ever done. Because it's like, really? You're going to do this in the middle of a crowded area like a creep?
I'm glad they took it seriously because that's like violating.
Yeah.
Carl Witzman says, when I was doing more photography, I like to let the model choose the site and setting.
Yes. I agree. But sometimes the model's like, I don't know. So I'm like, well, how about we meet one of these 3 places?
I've been one of those models where I'm like, look, I have to make so many decisions about like what I want the the actual costume to look like. Any decisions that the photographer can take off my plate about where we're gonna go and when it's gonna be and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I get
If
that.
you don't know the area.
As the photographer, when I get like 5 or 6 shoots booked at a con, it's like, and people are like, "Where do you want to shoot at?" I'm like, you decide. I'm tired of deciding. You figure this out. Tell me where to show up with the camera, and I'll be there.
It's very fair. I often have, as a cosplayer, if I know an area, I'll usually have already come up with that places in my mind that I already like shooting at, and then I'll collaborate with the photographer and we'll decide together. But
I really like White River State Park.
White River State Park is so pretty, and I've still never done a photo shoot in there. I really want to book a photo shoot from you at some point, Ryan. I don't have the budget at the same time as the time for photo shoots, like from professional photographers very often. So,
like I was discussing with Kelly earlier, I'm going to be doing once a month from now until probably October, where I'm doing convention pricing outside of the conventions on a Sunday. And it'll be at like a location downtown Indianapolis, and people will be able to come and pay like $70 to get 45 minutes, and we'll just do the shoot outside of the con.
That's good. That's really good. I'll
really
have to follow up with you on when some of your next dates are for that. So
the next one is next Sunday. So I don't know when July's is yet.
Oh.
Crayle's going to be in coming back from Iowa with me next Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to be cast members at Times of Future Past in Des Moines, Iowa. So if you're going to be near Des Moines, you definitely want to go to Times of Future Past. We went when they were in Wisconsin last year, and I have never had so much like things to do that are fun things that are included in you being there. They had a blacksmith working where like, yeah, you could buy stuff from him, but also you just got to watch him work like at his smithy there. They had aerialist shows multiple times throughout the weekend.
So cool. The
suffragette
tea party.
The suffragette tea party, yeah. So they had like a sort of like in character tea party suffragettes meet up, and then did like a Q&A for history lesson afterwards. Like there was just so much stuff to do. So it's Times of Future Past, a cosplay festival for any era. So it's Renaissance style fair, tents outside, but it's not limited to one era or fandom. And you should definitely go and come see us. And if you came because we were there, we'll be Supergirl and Batgirl. Walk up to Supergirl and Batgirl and be like, "You're the reason I'm here." And then we'll make sure to tell the organizers.
Well, I had to choose June 9th because that's the only Sunday in June I have available.
You know what? That's valid.
I've got Origins Game Fair like 2 weeks after, and I've got play tests for Origins Game Fair the week before, because I write for a Living Dungeons and Dragons campaign as well as do photography. So,
oh wow, that sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. They take me to Gen Con every year and Origins. So
nice.
Yeah. If you have any stories you want to tell about that too, we have plenty of D&D and role playing game fans who also tune into the show.
Oh, my favorite one is the DM killed her son's character.
Oh no!
He was talking about how he was talking about how his character was so great and he was so niche and so da 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 da, and then she critted him and killed him in one shot.
Wow, how old was he?
Oh, he's like 30 something.
Oh,
but he was
okay.
still, he instantly regressed like to like 8 years old because he went like, "You killed my character, Mom." And it's like, and it was just hilarious because he just like instantly was like 8 years old again, like somebody killed his character.
It's gonna be an awkward next family dinner.
We raised him at the end of the mod.
Oh, okay.
We had the money. We just brought him back to life. We carried his dead body the rest of the way through the adventure.
Well, we are at the halfway point, and we're going to want to show some examples of your photography. But I have one more audience question that I want to get up there before that. Carl Witzman wants to know, do you ever do the equivalent of green screen to put in a background? I put Kelly in front of a castle with paint shop.
I didn't ask him to do that, by the way.
I have done the green screen thing. I just dislike it severely. I'm more of a practical effects photographer than I am a digital effects photographer. But I do own a green screen. It's floating around here somewhere in my little apartment.
Yeah. We green screen ourselves pretty often. We don't, since we live in different states from each other, we don't always have the best opportunity at the right time or weather to do things outdoors or out in public. And so we really end up having to go the extra mile to find something to make it interesting. And since we're not like amazing photoshoppers or whatever, mostly what it ends up doing is we need to do something that's super specific to the character to make it like worth it or whatever. So it's like, you know, we're not fooling anybody that we were in front of a green screen. It's just that what you're looking at is interesting. So it's like, you know, Emma Frost and Rogue in their Savage Land tattered costumes on a starry background with pterodactyl silhouettes in the background, you know, like.
Well, the one I did was I disassembled a photo and I put the Dragon Zord in behind the Green Ranger. I don't know if I sent you guys that one or not.
No, you did not. Crayle, also, that is a lie. We actually went to the Savage Land for that photo shoot. Why are you telling people that it was green screened?
Yes, we met real dinosaurs for that photo shoot.
We
I just
did,
want
and it
people to be
was
jealous.
It was awesome. I know you're lying because you don't want people asking us how to get there, but it was awesome. So we should just brag about it, and we're not going to tell people how to get there.
Okay, all right. I'll get better at boundaries. I'll say no.
But yes, let's go through the photos. Okay. So basically we're gonna pull up each photo. I'm gonna switch you with me so we can see you while we pull them up. We're gonna pull up each photo. If you just want to talk a little about each one, whatever you want to say about it.
Okay. That is my friend Artie. They are a chameleon. You'd never guess that is not a CIS male behind that. But that picture was actually taken in the convention center in the dealer hall. We opened up one of the emergency exits and got in trouble for it, just a little bit. And we took a picture of them standing there like that. And I just thought it came out really cool. So I kind of ran with it and I darkened it up a little bit. And other than that, it's just, that's all their makeup. You know, they did all that makeup themselves. I think I don't know their Instagram anymore. They changed it. But yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures I've taken at Comic-Con.
That is really good makeup.
Yes. Yeah, and you're highlighting it really, really well in the photo because we can see all the detail and everything. I also love the angle you're at. You've got like the cigarette like really far in front, you know, like.
And like I said, I like to play with depth of field, so that's kind of a me thing, you know. The cigarette sticking straight out, almost straight out towards the camera, just so it gives it that little bit of pop.
Is this supposed to be John Constantine? No, not John Constantine. What character is this supposed to be?
This is Arthur Fleck from the Joker 2019.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I refuse to watch that movie, but yes, I see it now.
I watched it and it felt like a 2-hour art house cinema flick.
Fair. A lot of people loved it. I've got my own reasons.
This is the newest photo I've done. This is 210 Altier on Instagram. She was cosplaying a female Aragorn, and it was taken at Turkey Run State Park. We were getting near the end of the shoot, and it's like, why don't you do somewhere you're spinning around where we can get the capes flowing and stuff like that. The sword is foam, but the little dagger they have in the back hand is actually a replica prop of the one that Aragorn had in Lord of the Rings. And this one I overexposed the background a little bit on purpose, so that way I'd bring out the details in the robes a little bit more.
Yeah,
the movement in the robe is perfect.
Yeah, but that's the newest one. I just did that one like 2 weeks ago.
Nice. It looks really good.
Thank you. And the cosplay was amazing. We did a lot of them. That is Cass. I can't remember her Instagram handle, but she was Freddy Krueger. She was actually, I believe, pregnant during this. And this is the shoot that we did the red backdrops on too, where we silhouetted them. But she's doing a gender bent Freddy Krueger, and she was just walking around dragging her hands on the pillars. I'm like, do that again. So I kind of moved off to her shoulder, so that way we had that depth of field running into the claws on the pillar, and it just turned out really good.
Yeah,
the really shadows with that one.
The shadows of the claws are coming out like really sharp, and that's
well,
awesome.
If you look at it, the actual focal point is like that second claw, and the rest of it kind of blurs out a little bit from there.
It's perfect.
I picked a very weird little point on it. Hey, I did send that one to you.
Oh, yes.
That is Darrell. I can't remember his Instagram handle, but he does Power Rangers cosplay. He does Evidential Myths, the card game. He's a really cool guy. He wanted one with the Dragon Zord in the background, so he bought the 3D model of the Dragon Zord. I deconstructed the entire photo, and there's like 12 layers in there. And then I threw the Dragon Zord in the background, put everything back together. I tried to make it look like the sun was aiming from the same direction. I adjusted the lighting a little bit. That was one of the harder photos I've ever done, just because of the digital editing in it. But he wanted to do one with the Dragon Zord up, the dagger up, and the Dragon Zord in the background. So we just kind of played around until it did what it needed to do. Thanks, Carl.
Carl Witzman says, nice layering. Yeah.
You did well. It is hard to get those light sources right when you're photoshopping that stuff in. It's just...
And it's still a little brighter than I would have liked, but every time I darkened it up, we lost detail. So I just said, and ran with it.
It looks good. It looks
Thank
good.
you.
Also, the effects on Power Rangers were never top tier. So it didn't need to be perfect.
It's true. Honestly, this is probably better than the way it looks in some of the Power Ranger shots.
Probably.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why we had the rule in my photo class of Ryan, sit down and shut up. I wasn't allowed to critique my own photos because I'm a perfectionist with them. This is V, Dear Corvi on Instagram. She is an amazing cosplayer. She actually did a great sword for the Barbarian Link that won a contest at one of the cons. It was either PopCon or Comic-Con. I don't remember which one. But this is her Tears of the Kingdom Link. She made the shield herself. She made the sword herself. And I really like the depth of field on this one, running up the sword. It kind of draws your eye up the sword, into the armband, and then around to her, and then back down to the shield. And I really played with a lot of poses and a lot of depth of field and a lot of angles of the sword to try to get just that feeling. So I really like that one.
Well, I agree.
Really
that's exactly how my eye did it too. So no, it looks really great.
Yeah, and she makes all of her own props and everything. So she's an amazing prop maker. I don't remember what else I sent you, or if I sent you anything else.
You did.
That is Alex. They were cosplaying as Buette. And you can see her hand here, their hand here. And I really like to play at the depth of field, like I said. So I had them reach out towards me like they were going to get me. And then we did. That was actually just in the middle of the convention center, in the front doorway by the JW. And I just shot down their arm right up to them. I think it's just a cool shot, just the way the framing and everything.
Yeah, I like the leaves in the background being like one of the things you notice near the end when you're looking at it, and it does feel a little more Mario-like because there's giant leaves that feel very like.
I actually did an edit of this where I put a piranha plant head in between the leaves. It just didn't look right though, so I just kind of deleted it.
Well, to me, I've just been like imagining it off to the side, and they still just look, because the perennial plants, they just have those like big leaves that stick out on the side, so.
But that's one of my favorite hallway shots I've done, where we were just goofing around in the hallway and we just did it. Ooh.
Oh, so I love that.
This picture was towards the end of a Harley Quinn shoot. I was getting tired. She was getting tired. And she just happened to look over her shoulder. And I said, do that again. And I got down, and I am laying on the ground for this photo. And I'm like, and it's actually been completely 180 because I laid on the ground and shot it upside down. So I shot that from the ground upside down. It was interesting because people were walking around with us. And that's the night I met Jack Black.
Oh, nice.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
We were walking around and he stopped and said, "Oh, nice Harley," and then kept walking. And I'm like, wait a sec, that was Jack Black. One of those look over your shoulder.
So
It's like, hey,
excited
that
for
was
you.
Jack Black. But yeah, she's awesome. I've got a whole series of hers on my Instagram. And I like the way the building turned out in the background with the depth of field again. And it kind of curves in around the curved building up to the big building. So I just thought it was a cool shot. And it's very me. It's very much my style. And it's very much her style. She loved that one too, I believe.
I mean, what's not to love it? This is an amazing shot.
Thank you.
It's very Gotham.
Yes, that's what we were going for. We've got a couple of her with a chain link fence in her hand where it's orange lit on her. And those are really cool too.
Nice.
It's very, like the orange, I imagine, makes it seem a little bit like orange jumpsuit Arkham-y, just a little bit.
It definitely makes it feel like back alley Gotham.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my photos.
I missed a comment from Jado Rose earlier who says, I've done shot 2 different Spider-Verse cosplay shoots in 2021 and 2023 downtown Fort Lauderdale for photo shoot meetups. Those are awesome. If you send us, that sounds awesome. If you send us any of the photos to because I'm not very familiar with the Fort Lauderdale area. If you send us any of the photos, we'll post them and tag you in them. Since the week after an episode, we usually repost things that people have submitted that fit the previous week's theme. So feel free to go ahead and send those in to us. And anybody else who's listening, if you've got a photo, if you tell us a little bit about why you really like what you took or whatever for this photography series, we're happy to share it and tag you. So
yes, please. Let me get her. Okay, so it's Cosplay Cafe Podcast at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just put that in comments so we can.
Yeah, then wherever you're watching, you hopefully should be able to copy and paste that.
Yeah, because we love seeing everyone's pictures, so please send them to us. And I really love the Spider-Verse. I think we both do. So
we really
I'd love
do.
to see those.
Yeah. No, that would be
that
would be great.
Movie.
Yep. Ryan,
do you go ahead. Greatly.
I was gonna say you've also done offers for me before to do product photography. Is that something that you do regularly?
I'd like to get more regularly doing it, but yes, I have done it in the past a few times. I worked for Game On Coins and I worked for Black Oak Workshop and did both of their lineups. I've done some candle companies. I've done, what else did I do? I did a miniature company. Those didn't turn out very well because my camera wasn't very good at the time. But I do everything. I'm very diversified. I do weddings, family portraits, cosplay photography, daycare photography, product photography. I work at a music store during the day, and I do their photography for eBay. So I do a lot of pictures of instruments and stuff like that. So I try to be very diverse in what I do.
Do you feel like having a cosplay focus and a lot of cosplay experience has made you more versatile for those other types of photography?
I think it's definitely helped my modeling photography and my wedding photography a lot. It gives me the ability to look at them and say, look, I did this with a cosplayer and it really turned out good. Let's try it. Because I hate to say it, I kind of use my cosplayers as my guinea pigs sometimes.
I mean, cosplayers are down to try a lot of things, I've noticed, where they're like, hey, I'm on an adventure,
Yeah. And I'll be like, if they do a pose that's just not good, I'll look at them, I'll be like, nope. I've actually told one of my cosplayers, I'm like, don't ever do that again. That looks bad.
Yeah.
And as a cosplayer, that's not going to hurt our feelings. Yeah. Like you said.
Yeah. I really appreciate when a photographer tells me that like a pose or something doesn't look good on screen because I can't tell. I can't see me. So.
And I did a whole panel at Comic-Con or PopCon, I don't remember which one, on posing and cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
Where it went over the points of, how to move your hands properly, how to do depth of field, how not to stand facing the camera, but still face the camera. stuff like that. And we went into cosplay as not consent and all that. So
the advice Kelly and I have used the most that we got from professional photographers is not to look each other directly in the eye when we're supposed to be looking at each other, where we angle off a little bit. And it works on the camera, but also it helps us not laugh at each other as much. Because when we look each other in the eye, something is funny every single time. It just...
It's something about eye contact that makes everybody laugh,
It's just uncomfortable to hold eye contact for that long. It's too intimate. It's too intimate.
And when you're framing up a shot, like you end up standing way closer than you do to people in real life. So it's just adding that eye contact. It's too much. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back every time. So...
And some of those poses to get some of the body contortion to get the pose right from like the shoulders up is just hilarious. Like I wish I had some behind the scenes pictures of some of the group shots I've done where it's like from the shoulder up or from the waist up, they look really cool. But if you looked at their legs, they look all contorted and they're like kneeling on one leg and twisting the other one. And it's like, I really wish someone was taking behind the scene pictures of this because this just looks hilarious.
The number of times to get like a torso up photo where I have to put my leg in between somebody else's legs. Kelly, I'm sure you've been there too.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like...
We did a group Gotham photo shoot a couple months ago, and the photographer had me helping with, they were trying to do recreate a specific comic panel where the Talon and Batman were fighting, and he's like, help me position them exactly like in this comic panel. I ended up like cursing the comic artist. I'm like, human bodies do not contort like this. I'm like, guys, this is the closest we can get. But I'm like, no, this comic artist does not understand human bodies. And they're like, well, I forget which comic artist it was, so I'm not able to call him out. But they're like, well, it's this great comic artist. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, he is a really talented comic artist, but screw that guy.
He's got the arm moving in a way that it just doesn't want to go.
It was like cross-body BS. And I'm like, no, has this man met a human? Is this man an alien? Because he does not understand.
Cross-body poses very seldom work.
No. And they look very dynamic because comics it's stylized, right? So they look very dynamic in a comic panel. So, it's an artist, he was doing fine. But as a human being trying to recreate that pose, I was like, guys, no.
Yeah.
I mean, our other host, Andrea Starnes, who's on our Friday episodes, her brother is a comic artist. And what he says is that's for the cosplayers to figure out later. He just draws it the way he likes it to look.
I've had cosplayers come to me with panels and go, I want to do this picture. I'm like, you do realize your body doesn't move like that.
But we don't as cosplayers.
We're just like, no, I want to look like that.
We had to try it, and it didn't work because the human body did not move like that.
There's literally a whole thing with female characters called the Brokeback pose, okay? And it's not Brokeback Mountain. Yeah. That's a whole different thing. But it's literally called the Brokeback pose because they'd have to break their back if they were a real human to make that pose.
Oh, yeah, to turn that far back. Yeah. That's always a fun pose is when the person's like, I want to look over my shoulder. I'm like, you do realize you can't turn far enough to make that look that good. And then they're like, wait, what?
Or are you in The Exorcist, rather?
Yeah. Can you turn your head 180 degrees? No? Don't do it then. But like, you can turn like...
How do you normally cope with that? Do you find ways to cheat
I find ways. Yeah, I cheat it a lot. Like I'll have them turn 3/4 and then, turn the rest of the way. But I'll cheat it as much as I can. There are some poses that the cosplayers try to do, and I'm just like, no, we're not doing this. I'm like, it's going to look bad in the photos. You're not going to be happy with me, and we're just not going to do it.
That's reasonable. And sometimes we just need to be told no, okay? Because comics are fantasy. Even movies are fantasy. Like the movies nowadays. Now this is not about poses, but the movies nowadays, half the costumes are CGI.
Yep.
And half the things they're doing in movies are CGI. So, like, we just have to accept it.
Yeah.
Although I
So
have
you have
seen some really-
cosplayers who are like, it doesn't look like it did on the screen. And it's like, the actor didn't look like it does on the screen when they were filming it. Like, be easier on yourself.
See, I liked
Actor was wearing
Endgame.
gray pajamas.
I liked Endgame because at least I could say I had the body of a god. Because Dad bod Thor.
I love Dad bod Thor. Dad bod Thor was amazing. Like,
Yes.
it was amazing character development. And I actually do love that a lot of guys who could eat hamburgers and say, hey, I have a body of a god now.
Yeah.
And he still looked hot.
Yes, he did. But yeah, like,
and he was still worthy.
He was.
Yes. But like, I've seen some cosplayers who are amazing cosplayers. Like, they build amazing mech suits. I saw a guy who dressed as Voltron, and his suit came apart and formed the little 5 lions, and then it would go back together on him. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool. But he wouldn't buy a session, so I just took a couple hallway shots of him and moved on with my life. I saw a guy who looked like He-Man. That was cool. Like, he was actually built like He-Man from the comics, and I'm like, oh, dude. That was a thirst trap picture that I posted of him, so. It got a lot of likes from a lot of ladies and some guys, which is cool. But it was just, I just have so much fun doing cosplay photography. Sorry, my chair keeps wanting to roll back because there's a divot in my apartment floor. It's an old apartment. But cosplay photography is so much fun. And if you haven't done a session, do a session. Because you work hard on it, and you should have the best photos you can get of it. So, I mean, that's my big thing is like all the cosplayers are like, well, it's so much money. I'm like, yeah, but how much did you spend on the cosplay? You know, you spent hundreds of dollars on this. You can't spend $50 to get a 15-minute session. You know?
And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that when you pay the photographer, you're not just paying them for the 15-minute session.
Right.
You're paying them for the editing afterwards, the calling through the photos, also for the years of experience leading up to that session.
And the equipment that they've bought over time, like, you know.
And all the subscriptions we have to get everything going, like the Photoshop subscription. And like in my case, I have Got Photo, which hosts all my photos so that people can actually buy the photos and see the photos later on.
Nice.
That cost me money too. So that's what they don't understand. That's what a lot of people don't understand is you're not just paying me for the time I'm behind the camera. You're paying me for everything that from the time I start the day to the time I finish your photos. And I go through that a lot with weddings because I'm very expensive for weddings. And I know this. I know there are people who will do it cheaper, but you're paying me to clear my whole day basically. And you're clearing me to spend the next week. You're paying me to clear the next week to work on your photos.
Also, being at a wedding that you're not actually a guest at is so much extra effort. Like, you have to stay out of the way. You have to make sure you're not like interfering with the event while still doing the job that you're doing. Like, the mental workload of working a wedding in any position, whether you're serving or being the photographer. And for the photographer, I suspect that's the worst one because you're there for every aspect of it almost. Like,
I always tell couples, do not book a 4-hour wedding because it will not happen in 4 hours.
Never. I could not imagine.
I've had couples book 4-hour weddings before and they get to the 4-hour mark and they're like, oh, we haven't even cut the cake yet. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Lord of Spice, aka Derek Spicer, says, hey, hi, howdy, sorry can't stay, have fun, y'all. Bye, Derek.
Bye, Derek.
Hi and bye, Derek.
Hit and run.
He supports however he can. He's like our biggest fan.
Okay.
We love Derek.
Not counting our husbands, but other than that, yeah, he's our biggest fan.
And I still need to buy a Snorlax off of you.
You do, and you can anytime. You can just message me, whatever.
Okay. Snorlax is the almighty Pokemon. He is my favorite.
Or you two could do a trade. I'm like bartering for you, but
I'd be willing to trade a session for one.
Okay. All right. We'll do it. We'll do it that way. Yeah. Heck yeah.
That also benefits me because if you're willing to have it go on Patreon first, it benefits me too. because that's a Phoenix Sisters thing.
Yeah. So
Once you
Right.
get the pictures, they're yours to do with what you want. I give a copyright release with everything.
Woohoo!
that's cool.
I may
So-
post a couple on my Instagram to be like, hey, look what I did. But the rest of them are yours.
Yay!
Well, we are nearing the end of the hour, so we're going to put you on solo screen, and we would love for you to answer what your ultimate advice is for cosplayers to make sure that they get the best photographs.
My ultimate advice for cosplayers isn't even about getting the best photograph. It's don't worry if it doesn't look screen accurate, because nothing ever is perfect. And I had to learn that about my photos a long time ago, that nothing is ever perfect. And even if you want it to be, it's not going to be. But if you hire a good photographer, they can make it look pretty much near perfect. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's great advice.
Really great advice. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for
This
having
was
me.
really great conversation. Where can people find you?
Instagram, RM Photography Lafayette. Facebook, RM Photography Lafayette. My logo is my little thing. I don't know if it's showing up or not, but whatever. My logo's on there. They can find me on my website, rmphoto.lafayette.com. And they can find me at most of the Indiana and Indianapolis conventions, because I'm always lurking somewhere at those conventions.
It's true. It's true. We bump into each other a lot.
I think like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
And they'll find me at Origins next in like 2 weeks.
That sounds like fun.
It is a huge gaming fair. It is in Columbus, Ohio. It's normally the week of their Pride Parade, so it's pretty hectic, but it's awesome.
That does sound great. As for Kelly and I, if you're watching this and you want to see more of our amazing cosplay, so you can find any of our socials and also our website and our Patreon, where we do exclusive content and also early access content. So you get all the photos from our monthly photo shoot. We do a new photo shoot of one or both of us every single month, and you get them all 30 days early, and you get all of them instead of just whatever we put on Facebook later, which isn't always everything. And also, if any of it is PG-13, not family friendly, it just stays behind the paywall forever, because our public socials are like 100% family friendly. You go to linktree.com/Phoenix Sis Cosplay. So that's Phoenix SIS Cosplay. I'm going to put it on the screen here. But also, even aside from the Patreon plug, where you're supporting us to have better costumes and pay photographers who can really help us show those costumes off the best, because that's one of the things that we've spent the Patreon money on before. Also, if you need emotional support or advice or help with anything to do with your costumes, reach out to us. If you're an indie creator and you want to meet other indie creators or be on podcasts, whether you make comics, whether you write novels, or whatever, we know everybody. We can introduce you. So you're going to want to go to linktree.com/Phoenix Sis Cosplay. So Phoenix SIS Cosplay, and make sure you're following us on whatever platform you use the most out of our options there. And you can get in touch with us. Like we love helping just to help, in addition to that, like paid, like one Patreon thing that we do. We want to get cosplayers and photographers and creators together. So that's us. We are
Good
Phoenix
karma.
Sisters.
We like
It
karma.
is.
We like good karma.
We are Phoenix Sisters Entertainment overall, Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, and this is what we do. So it's been a really great show. I believe Carl also said in the comments that he thought it was a good show. So thank you, Carl Witzman. Yep.
Thanks,
Good
Carl.
show.
We love you, Carl.
We love you, Carl.
We love all you viewers, and we just have our network video that is advertising the rest of the wonderful shows on our network. We have some awesome people on our network, so please stick around for this. And otherwise, everyone have a great week.
Yep. Bye.
It's like